Let's move on to main topic number 1. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Derek Priano, who writes, "Hey, John. Daniel Craig has been asked a lot if he is done with Bond during the Knives Out press tour. He says, yes, someone else has to do it. But he did say he would rather slash his wrists than play Bond again, and ended up, well, playing Bond again. Over under 25% that he comes back for James Bond number 26. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Derek. And let's address this first. Derek brings up a comment that has been thrown around a lot by people, understandably so. Because after doing, what was it, Spectre?
Yeah.
After doing Spectre, you know, a quote came out and was used a lot from Daniel Craig saying, I'd rather use glass and slice myself up than play Bond again. But that comment was always taken out of context. You had to remember that Daniel Craig had just finished a long, grueling shoot on it. And his basic meaning was, right now, I would rather do. He wasn't saying, I'm never going to come back. He's saying, at the moment, I'd rather cut myself up because he just got off an exhausting, grueling shoot. He said it was a particularly hard one for him. So people always took that out of context. And I remember even on my old movie show, I talked about that specifically when he made those comments. So keep that in mind. So yes, Daniel Craig has, we've taken his meaning saying oh, he's not going to play it again. He's now coming out and saying he's not going to play it again. He was asked directly, are you done playing Bond? Yes, someone else is going to have to do it. Do I believe him? Absolutely I do. Absolutely I do. Daniel Craig has done a wonderful job, in my opinion, playing James Bond. I'm not saying they've been the greatest Bond movies of all time, although a couple of them are absolutely fantastic. But as far as what's in his control to play a great James Bond, he's done it. I thought for a long time it would be impossible for any actor to come along and replace the first picture in my head as I think of James Bond to not be Sean Connery or to not be Roger Moore. I liked Pierce Brosnan as Bond very much, but his face never replaced Sean Connery or Roger Moore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really liked him as James Bond, but it was still, when I thought of Bond, I either see Roger Moore or Sean Connery's face. And I'm not saying Daniel Craig's better than anybody. I'm just saying now, when I think of James Bond, I've enjoyed what they've done here so much and what he's been able to do as the character, that when I think of James Bond, Rob, the face that pops into my head is actually Daniel Craig. At this point, I have really enjoyed him as Bond. He's done his time. He's fulfilled his service. Hell, he even did that one thing with the Queen. Remember that?
Right, yep.
Oh, that had to be the coolest thing of all time. He actually got to do that with the Queen and play James Bond. I mean, that was one of the coolest things ever. But anyway, I do believe him. I believe he's done. It's time to pass the baton. I'm really looking forward to this new one, but it is time to move on, and I do believe we are going to get a new James Bond at 26. Robert, as somebody who's far more connected and really attached to the James Bond franchise, even more than me, you think he's done, or do you think there's actually a chance he could come back again?
Oh, I think he's done. And if you think about Bond in history, No Time to Die comes out in 2020.
Right.
That means Daniel Craig would have played Bond consecutively from 2006 to 2020, which is 14 years. Roger Moore played James Bond from 1962 to 71, but in the middle of that, he didn't do On Her Majesty's Secret Service in 69. And then, of course, he did come back and do Never Say Never Again, an unofficial Bond movie in 83. Roger Moore played Bond from 1973 to 1985, which is only 12 years. So no actor has played Bond for a longer period of time consecutively than Daniel Craig. He's getting into his 50s now. These are really grueling movies to make. And of all the Bonds, he gets in the best shape. So I can only imagine that the kind of physical training that he goes through, like our superhero characters, it takes its toll. You know, Ben Affleck said, he's said a lot, he doesn't like the training that was required to get into bat shape. And I can only imagine that Daniel Craig, you know, when he hits 52, 53, 54, come on, man. It's like Hugh Jackman.
Well, that's one of the main reasons Hugh Jackman said. He says, I'm not tired playing Logan. I'm done with the 5 a.m. workouts.
Right. I mean,
paid my dues.
And the thing is, it's not just a workout for a couple of days. I mean, this is a regimen you have to follow for months at a time to get into shooting shape. And during the whole time of production, you have to keep that up as well while you're doing grueling 12-hour production days.
And you don't get to eat what you want to eat.
No, and for a guy like Daniel Craig, which is already, it's not like he's walking into rooms. He's doing a lot of his own stunts. He's really out there on the front lines. It's grueling, and these Bond films take a long time to shoot. So, I mean, that we got 5 films out of him, I think is pretty exciting. And but I do think he's done. It doesn't matter how much money they back up to him. It's going to be like, I can't physically do this.
And I think most people are feeling like, you've done your service, Mr.
Right.
Craig, and I think everybody knows. But it is time. You point out he's played Bond pretty much longer than anybody else. It's time to introduce a new Bond. And I think that's great for Daniel Craig. I think it's good for the franchise. Question is, guys, maybe you don't buy it. Maybe you are one of the people who actually think, no, you know what? I think he's going to come back for another one. What do you guys think? Jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts.